Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to stand firm in the middle of life's storms, like a mountain, calm and unshaken, even as chaos swirls all around? Out there, the world is noisy, full of judgments, pressures, and endless expectations. People rush by, swept away in the current, yet you can remain still, untouched, like a mirror-smooth lake that doesn't ripple at the touch of the wind. There is a special kind of strength, quiet, unassuming, that holds steady, no matter what others think or say. You can't buy it, and you won't find it written neatly in a book. It's something you awaken within yourself patiently from the deepest place inside. Today, we're not just talking about peace. We're stepping into 10 rare and powerful Buddhist teachings, timeless truths that can completely transform how you experience life. These aren't dusty old ideas meant only for monks in distant temples. They are living principles for the modern soul, for anyone exhausted from being pulled in 100 different directions, worn down by anxiety, reactivity, or uncertainty. These teachings will guide you back to your center, to a peace so deeply rooted that nothing outside of you can disturb it. As the Buddha once said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. If you're ready to return to that stillness, to reclaim your inner power, and to move through life with unshakable calm, stay with me. What you're about to hear may not just be another lesson. It might be the moment everything begins to shift. And the very first step is this: anchor yourself with purpose. There is a quiet power that rises when you truly know who you are and why you walk the path you're on. In a world constantly tugging at you from all sides, a clear purpose is like planting your feet deep into the earth. No matter how fierce the winds blow, you remain grounded. When you understand what truly matters to you, when your values and goals grow from something deeply meaningful, you start moving with a different kind of energy. Not hurried, not reactive, but steady, aware, and fully present. Your purpose becomes your compass, not only pointing you forward, but giving you the strength to move through uncertainty without losing yourself. The Buddha once said, "Your work is to discover your work, and then, with all your heart, to give yourself to it." This isn't just about a career or personal ambition. It's about finding what makes your soul come alive and committing to it completely. Every morning, before the noise of the world tries to claim your attention, return to that inner map, the one that's been there all along, quietly waiting for you to find your way back. Remind yourself each day, what truly matters to me? What do I want to build? Who am I becoming? These aren't small questions. They're sacred rituals for the soul. Every time you return to them, you're reinforcing the foundation within the part of you that doesn't panic when life turns uncertain, that stays rooted, even when challenges arise or doubt begins to creep in. Like a steadfast ship that refuses to drift off course in the roughest seas, your purpose keeps you anchored. So begin each day not with hurry or fear, but with a quiet return to what truly matters. Let your purpose be your guide, your flame, your constant reminder of why you began this journey in the first place. When you walk with that kind of clarity, the world may shake, but you won't. Step 2. Mastering the art of the inner shield. There's a rare, quiet power that comes the moment you stop giving the outside world permission to shatter your inner peace. In Buddhist thought, much of our suffering doesn't come from the events themselves, but from the way we react to them. We believe others are hurting us, but more often, it's our own reactions, attachments, and inner storms that create the real pain. The truth is this: no one can disturb your peace unless you hand them the key. And once you realize that, you begin to reclaim your power. Picture this. Someone criticizes you, disrespects you, or tries to get under your skin. Instead of reacting with anger or hurt, you pause. You take a slow, steady breath. You see the moment for what it really is: fleeting, external, and not a reflection of your worth. And in that space, you make a powerful choice: not to absorb it, not to let it define your state of mind. When you do this, you become untouchable, not because the world has grown softer, but because you've stopped letting it control your emotions. As the Buddha said, you will not be punished for your anger. You will be punished by your anger. And how true that is. Anger scorches the one who carries it. It clouds judgment, poisons relationships, and leaves behind emptiness once the fire burns out. But when you resist its pull, when you meet anger with stillness instead of reaction, you step into a kind of freedom most people never know. To master this inner shield is not to become cold or numb. It's to keep your heart warm, yet unshaken, no matter how wild the winds outside may blow. Keeping your inner shield doesn't mean you become cold or numb. On the contrary, it's a sign of deep wisdom. You still feel, you still care, but you choose your responses with clarity. You don't let someone else's mood dictate your own. You don't allow every unkind word to slip into your spirit. With practice, you'll notice that the sting of insults begins to fade. The weight of conflict feels lighter, and the chaos outside no longer echoes inside you. So next time you feel provoked or wounded, pause. Don't rush to retaliate. Let the emotion rise, then let it drift away like a cloud floating across a vast open sky. You are not that cloud. You are the sky itself, vast, steady, free. Remember this, your peace is sacred, and you are its guardian. Choose to respond, not react. Choose to protect your stillness, not surrender it. When you do, you become something rare in this world, a soul that can walk through fire and remain untouched. Step 3. The wisdom of non-reaction. At some point in life, someone will misunderstand you, insult you, belittle you, or speak with cruelty. In that moment, you'll feel the familiar sting, the heat rising in your chest, the urge to defend yourself, to fight back, to prove your worth. But Buddhism teaches a quieter kind of strength. The strength not to react, the strength to remain still when provoked. Because what someone says to you often reveals far more about them than it ever will about you. When a person lashes out, it's usually born from their own pain. Anger. They don't understand insecurity. They haven't healed. Or grief. They don't know how to carry. Their words are not a mirror of your worth, but a reflection of their suffering. When you truly see this, something shifts. You stop taking things personally. You stop absorbing poison that was never meant for you. As the Buddha said, hatred does not cease by hatred, but only by love. This is the eternal rule. When we react with anger, we multiply it. When we respond with calm, we dissolve it. So the next time someone speaks to you with harshness or disrespect, pause, not because you are weak, but because you are in control. You are not handing over your peace to every passing opinion. You are not letting someone else's wound open a wound in you. This doesn't mean you remain silent in the face of injustice. It means you choose your timing, your words, and your actions with wisdom. This means you learn to respond not from ego, but from wisdom. You speak not to wound, but to heal. And sometimes the greatest strength lies in silence, letting hurtful words fall to the ground without ever touching your heart. As you practice this, something beautiful happens. Insults lose their sting. Offense becomes a choice, and you are no longer a prisoner of someone else's behavior. You become the master of your own peace. So when someone tries to pull you into their chaos, remember, you are not here to carry their pain. You are here to guard your stillness, to walk through fire without being burned. In every insult lies a choice, and you have the power to choose peace. Step 4. When your name is spoken without truth, there will be moments in life when your name travels into rooms you've never entered, whispered with misunderstanding, twisted by judgment, or colored by someone else's pain. It's human to feel the sting of being spoken about unfairly. But the Buddha's teachings remind us peace is not found in controlling others, but in mastering ourselves. When someone speaks ill of you, pause before you react. Their words aren't really about you, they're about them. Criticism is often a mirror reflecting their own wounds and inner storms. Once you realize this, you reclaim your power. Picture someone tossing dust into the wind. It can never harm the sky. In the same way, another's harsh words cannot change your true essence. The Buddha once said, "Speak or act with an impure mind, and trouble will follow you." That trouble may return to them, but it never has to reach you unless you open your hands to catch it. Their negativity is their path. Your response is yours. When bitterness is spoken, meet it with silence or even compassion, not because you agree, but because you refuse to let those words darken your spirit. You are not here to defend every version of yourself that lives in someone else's mind. You are here to live truthfully, to walk with grace, and to let your actions speak louder than your critics ever could. Stay close to your values. Be kind. Be honest. Be steady. Let your life be your answer. Because those who truly know you, who witness the way you live, are the ones who hold the truth. There is an invisible power that comes when you learn to love yourself and walk through life with confidence, untouched by rumors or the narrow judgments of others. Those who judge you without truly knowing you were never your responsibility to please in the first place. True freedom begins the moment you no longer crave to be understood by everyone. When your peace no longer depends on the eyes or words of the crowd, you become untouchable like a sacred fortress. So next time someone speaks your name with ill intent, don't let those words touch your heart. Let them fall away like autumn leaves noticed, but never kept. Your peace is far too precious to be traded for meaningless misunderstandings. Let your life itself be the quiet, undeniable proof of who you really are. And remember, your mind is like a secret garden, a place only you hold the key to. It can become a calm sanctuary filled with fragrant blossoms, or it can grow into a tangled forest of thorns. It all depends on the seeds you plant and the growth you nurture. Most people don't realize that the world they experience outside is often just a mirror of the one they've cultivated within. Eastern philosophy teaches us that the mind is the root of all joy and all suffering. As Buddha once said, "What you think, you become." If your thoughts are clouded with fear, anger, comparison, and doubt, then even the brightest days will feel dim. But if your mind is rooted in stillness, kindness, and clarity, you can stand unshaken even in the fiercest storms. Guarding your mind doesn't mean pretending darkness doesn't exist. It means refusing to feed it. You become the gatekeeper of your awareness, choosing carefully what you allow to enter and what you gently let go. When envy knocks, you don't have to answer. When resentment rises, you don't have to feed it. And when shame whispers in your ear, you can simply sit in silence and let it pass like a cloud drifting across the sky. Of course, there will always be weeds in the garden, old wounds, harsh judgments, fears you thought were long buried. But weeds only take over when we stop tending to the garden. So begin again gently and patiently. Each time you notice a wild, negative thought, don't scold yourself. Just acknowledge it and keep planting seeds of beauty, kindness, and peace. And when you notice a thought that feels heavy, meet it with compassion and choose again. Pick a gentler thought, a more uplifting story, a truth that goes deeper than fear. Over time, your inner world becomes calmer, not because life suddenly turns easy, but because your mind learns to see with clarity. In this world that constantly tugs at your attention from every angle, guarding your mind also means protecting your energy. Be conscious of what you allow in the headlines. You scroll past the voices you let influence you, the rooms you choose to sit in. Not all information feeds the soul. Not all company is healing. Even words that seem harmless can over time shape how you see others, the world, and yourself. So choose your influences with intention. Let your mind be a sacred sanctuary, not a landfill for chaos. One of the most powerful ways to protect this inner space is mindfulness meditation. Through it, you begin to watch your thoughts instead of chasing them. You realize you are not your thoughts. You are the quiet space beneath them. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes to pause before reacting, to breathe instead of rushing, to gently redirect your mind like a river finding a calmer course. Meditation is not an escape from life. It's a return to the center of who you are, where clarity waits patiently for you. Remember, every moment, every thought, every belief you hold is a seed. And what you plant, you will one day harvest in your emotions, in your relationships, and in how you see the world. Guard your mind like the rare treasure it is. Nurture it with patience, with love, and with wisdom. Then peace will no longer be something you chase. It will be something you carry inside you, unshakable and deeply rooted. Beyond this peace lies another kind of strength. The quiet strength that waits on the far side of fear and shame. These forces live within us like shadows, silent but heavy, shaping how we walk through the world. Fear whispers what could be lost. Shame tells us we are not enough. Together, they build invisible walls around the heart walls that keep us from speaking our truth, reaching for what calls to us, or simply living as our authentic selves. In Buddhist philosophy, fear and shame are not enemies to be destroyed, but illusions to be seen through. Fear arises when we cling too tightly to outcomes. We fear failure. We fear rejection. We even fear success because each has the power to pull us away from what feels familiar, safe, and known. Shame, too, grows from this same root of attachment to how we believe we should be seen, to how we measure our worth through the eyes of others. But the Dharma reminds us nothing we feel is permanent. Emotions are not fixed truths. They are waves rising and falling, disappearing into the ocean that we truly are. They are clouds drifting across the wide, unchanging sky of our awareness. To walk the path of awakening is not to turn away from these shadows, but to turn toward them, to sit in their presence with patience, to meet them with gentle curiosity. Like a monk sitting beside a still pond, we watch the ripples of fear. We listen to the quiet voice of shame. And slowly, those voices begin to soften. The Buddha never promised a life without fear. What he offered instead was liberation, the kind that blooms when we see things as they truly are. When we realize fear is not an order to obey, but a passing sensation. When we understand that shame is not our truth, but a learned habit we can release. This is when we begin to take back our power. Mindfulness is the key. Through mindful awareness, we learn to cradle our emotions like a trembling bird, not to suppress, not to fix, but simply to understand. And in that understanding, transformation begins. On this path, compassion walks beside us. When fear rises, we meet it with kindness. When shame wraps around our heart, we breathe and remember Even this moment is worthy of love. The Buddha taught that the compassion we offer to all beings must also be given to ourselves. Why should we be excluded from the boundless care we so freely give to others? There is a saying in Buddhism: no snowflake ever falls in the wrong place. Every fear, every doubt, every struggle, all of it has a place in our awakening. They are not mistakes. They are the teachings themselves. To overcome fear and shame is not to erase them. It is to see them clearly, to let them pass through us, and to choose not to live by their script. It is to live gently, yet with fierce presence. To speak even when your voice shakes. To love even when your heart feels uncertain. To be fully human and fully free. So when fear knocks on your door again, and it will greet it as an old teacher, when shame begins to whisper its familiar story, smile softly and answer with silence. You are not broken. You are becoming. Everyone you meet is a mirror, a lesson, a teacher. Life is not a straight road. It's a winding trail through bright forests of joy and shadowed valleys of discomfort. Along this path, we meet countless souls. Some comfort us like gentle breezes. Others stir our stillness like sudden storms. Buddhism offers a powerful truth. Every person you encounter is a teacher, whether they soothe you or shake you awake. This isn't about idolizing others or accepting all behavior blindly. It's about seeing with awakened eyes and asking, what is this moment trying to show me? Even the ones who irritate us, especially them, are often our greatest masters. Not because they are wiser, but because they reflect the parts of us still bound by ego reaction and expectation. When someone criticizes you, do you close off or open up? When someone is rude, is it truly them who causes your pain? Or is it the story you've created about them? Here lies the hidden teaching. It's not in their words, not in their behavior, but in your response. The Buddha taught that patience is the highest form of spiritual discipline. But patience doesn't grow in silence or solitude alone. It blossoms when we are surrounded by noise, chaos, and contradiction. And yet, we choose not to lose ourselves. Imagine a candle in the wind. Most flames flicker and die in the storm. But the candle of mindfulness burns steady, not by resisting the wind, but by understanding it. Each person who agitates you is like a gust of wind, not an enemy, but a trainer. You learn to stay grounded, not by hiding from the storm, but by standing in its center, without losing your flame. And what of compassion? When someone wounds you with words, Buddhist wisdom whispers, hurt people hurt people. Their sharpness is often their shield. Their anger is a scream from an unattended wound. Instead of closing your heart, ask, what sorrow must they be carrying to act this way? This doesn't mean you allow harm. It means you respond with clarity, not cruelty. With boundaries, not bitterness. With this mindset, daily life becomes sacred practice. The impatient cashier, the reckless driver, the gossiping coworker, all become mirrors. Through them, you see where you still cling too tightly, where your peace is still conditional. But this practice is not only for difficult encounters. Those who uplift us are also teachers. They show us what kindness feels like. They inspire us to be more gentle, more present, more real. Seeing everyone as a teacher humbles us, no matter how many books you've read or how many hours you've sat in meditation. There is always more to learn. A child can teach you wonder. A stranger can teach you empathy. A critic can teach you resilience. When you meet someone who stirs, your emotions pause. Observe. What feeling rises? What thought follows? What belief is being challenged? This awareness is gold. It reveals not only who they are, but more importantly, who you are. This is the alchemy of Buddhist practice, transforming pain into presence, annoyance into awareness. The Buddha once said, "In the end, these things matter most. How well did you love? How fully did you live? How deeply did you let go?" Every encounter invites you to love more deeply, to live more fully, to release judgment, control, and pride. Even the uncomfortable moments are rich soil for awakening. But let's be clear, seeing others as teachers doesn't mean tolerating abuse or toxicity. It means recognizing the lesson, integrating it, and responding with wisdom. Sometimes the lesson is learning to walk away with peace in your heart. When you embrace this way of seeing, you stop resisting life's difficulties. You begin to move with life like a river winding around the rocks. Nothing is wasted. Everything is useful. Slowly, your journey becomes less about avoiding discomfort and more about extracting wisdom from every moment. So next time someone tests your patience, take a breath and ask, what is this moment asking me to awaken to? Because in this great classroom of life, everyone you meet is handing you a piece of your own liberation. Living in rhythm with nature. There is a quiet wisdom in the way the river flows, in how the trees sway, in the rising and setting of the sun. The teachings of the Buddha invite us to notice these rhythms not as distant observers, but as living participants. To live in harmony with nature is to return to our original home. Not only the forests and oceans, but the natural flow of life itself, a movement that is slow, cyclical, and sacred. We are told to push, to chase, to fight against the flow, against the present moment. But Buddhism offers a softer, stronger way. Go with life, not against it. Living in tune with nature is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is knowing that just as seasons change and rivers carve new paths, we too must move with change, not resist it. Nature is a constant reminder of impermanence. The leaves do not resist autumn when they fall. The moon does not complain when its light fades. Everything in nature accepts change, not as loss, but as truth. When we follow this rhythm, we begin releasing the need to control, to predict, to hold everything in place. We see that peace comes not from gripping life tighter, but from letting go more fully. This is not giving up on action or duty. It is acting with balance, not force. A tree does not grow in a day. A mountain is shaped over centuries, yet both hold their strength when storms arrive. To live in harmony with nature is to bend, not break, like bamboo swaying in the wind. We stay rooted in our values, yet open in our response. There is quiet power in knowing your limits, not as flaws, but as sacred boundaries. Modern life demands more than we can give: more time, more achievements, more growth. But Buddhism gently reminds us, pushing too hard is not progress. It is burnout. To live in tune with nature is to rest in stillness, to know what is enough. Your body, mind, and soul each follow their own natural rhythm. Honor that. Do not rush through the season you are in. The Buddha taught, true happiness comes not from having more, but from being content. Simplicity is not emptiness. It is clarity, the ease of fewer distractions, the depth of greater presence. In nature, nothing takes more than it needs. The trees store no extra sunlight. The rivers do not fight for more space. Everything flows in balance. Can we live that way too? Mindfulness is the bridge between us and the natural world. When we are fully present, we begin to see how deeply we belong, how your breath rises and falls like ocean waves, how the quiet of a forest mirrors the quiet within. When you slow down, the world begins to open, not only in its beauty, but in the lessons it offers. Nature teaches kindness, not only toward ourselves, but toward all living things. When we truly feel our lives interwoven with the earth, our care begins to shift. We walk softer. We consume with more awareness. We act not from guilt, but from love. Love for the rivers, for the creatures, for the generations yet to come. The Buddha once said, "Just as a snake sheds its old skin, we too must let go of the past. Look at the forest. It is always renewing. Old leaves fall so that new ones may grow. If nature clings to nothing, why should we? Every moment is an invitation to release the old and welcome the new. Change doesn't need to be forced. It unfolds naturally, like spring after winter, quietly, patiently, in its own perfect time. Living in harmony with nature is not just a way of life. It is a spiritual path, one that brings you back to your breath, your senses, and the stillness within. It whispers, "I am not separate from the world. I am part of its sacred rhythm." When you feel lost or overwhelmed, step outside. Let the wind speak to you. Watch the sky change shape. Listen to the quiet song in the trees. The earth has been teaching long before we arrived, and will keep teaching long after we are gone. To live in rhythm with nature is to remember life is not meant to be a struggle. It is meant to be balanced. Let yourself be led, not pushed, moved by inspiration, not weighed down by pressure. Stay grounded, not grasping. And you will find a deeper peace, not from doing more, but from being aligned. Conclusion. And so, dear traveler, on this path of stillness, we arrive at the end of today's reflection. The truth you seek is not hidden away in far-off temples or locked inside ancient scriptures. It lives here in the quiet choices you make, in the gentle moments you protect, in the imperfections you learn to love. Each teaching is more than wisdom. It is an invitation to slow down, to breathe, to remember you are already whole. In a world chasing noise, you have chosen stillness. In a world always rushing forward, you are learning simply to be. That is no small thing. That is awakening. If these words have stirred something in you, a memory, a breath, a quiet wish for peace, let that be the beginning. Subscribe if your soul longs for more than the surface. Like this video, to honor the wisdom shared. And tell us in the comments which teaching touched you most today. Because here, we don't just watch. We awaken together. Until next time, walk gently, breathe deeply, and carry peace like a light within.